Chief Martinez was a big man with a small office. He sat behind his desk like a boulder that had been there so long the room had grown around it, papers stacked in towers on either side of him, a coffee mug with a faded logo that might have said "World's Best Dad" 20 years ago. Burke was already there when I walked in, standing against the wall with his arms crossed. He didn't look at me. "Hartley, close the door." I did, then took the only other chair. It creaked under my weight like it was personally offended. Martinez studied me for a moment. He had the kind of face that gave nothing away. Decades of small-town politics and island secrets had taught him how to keep his thoughts locked up tight. I'd known him my whole life, the way you know everyone in a place like Ravenshore. He'd been at Emma's funeral. He'd been at my mother's, too. "How are you settling in?" he asked. "Fine. Burke treating you okay?" I glanced at Burke. He was examining something fascinating on the ceiling. "We're getting along." Martinez nodded slowly like he was weighing my words for lies. "Good, that's good." He leaned back in his chair and it groaned in protest. "I wanted to check in, see how you're doing, coming back here after. Everything can't be easy." I kept my face neutral. "I appreciate the concern, Chief, but I'm here to work." "I know you are." He paused. "Your father was a good man. Sarah before he wasn't. And your mother." He stopped, shook his head. "This island took a lot from your family. I just want to make sure it doesn't take anything else." My hand twitched toward my neck. I forced it to stay on the armrest. "I'm fine," I said. "Really?" Martinez looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. "All right, Burke, you're dismissed. Sarah, stay a minute." Burke pushed off the wall and left without a word. The door clicked shut behind him. Martinez waited until his footsteps faded down the hall. Then he leaned forward, his voice dropping. "Burke's a good cop, best I've got, but he's complicated, especially when it comes to your family." "What do you mean?" "He worked your sister's case, back when it happened." Martinez's eyes were steady on mine. It was his first real homicide, only real homicide we'd had in 30 years until, well, he spread his hands. "He never solved it. I think it still eats at him." I absorbed that. Burke, young and eager, standing over Emma's body. Burke, hitting dead ends, watching the case go cold. Burke, seeing me walk into his station 20 years later, the little girl who used to ask why no one could find the person who hurt her sister. "He never mentioned it," I said. "He wouldn't." Martinez stood, signaling the conversation was over. "Just be patient with him. He's carrying things, we all are, on this island." I stood too. "Is that all? For now?" He walked me to the door, then paused with his hand on the knob. "Sarah, if you ever need to talk about anything, my door's open, I mean that." "Thank you, Chief." He opened the door. Burke was at his desk, pretending to read something on his computer. I walked past him to my own chair and sat down. The silence between us felt heavier now, weighted with things I didn't know how to ask. An hour passed. Then 2. Burke typed, I read files. The clock on the wall ticked loud enough to count. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. "You worked my sister's case." Burke's fingers stopped on the keyboard. He didn't look up. "Martinez told you?" "Yeah." Silence then. "It was a long time ago." "Not that long." He finally turned to face me. His eyes were tired, not from lack of sleep, but from something deeper, the kind of tired that builds up over years. "I was 32, he said. "Been on the force for 8 years, thought I knew everything, thought I could solve anything if I just worked hard enough." He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Your sister was my first real case, my only real case until," he stopped. "It broke something in me, not being able to find who did it. Did you have any leads?" "A few, none that panned out." He turned back to his computer. "I don't want to talk about this, Hartley." "I need to know." "No, you don't." His voice was sharp now. "Your sister's case is closed. Cold, has been for 20 years. You coming back here doesn't change that. You poking around in old files doesn't change that. Some things don't get solved, some things just stay broken." I stared at the back of his head. My hands were clenched on my desk. "I'm not here to poke around in old files," I said quietly. "I'm here to do a job." "Good." He didn't turn around. "Then do it." Rest of the day passed in silence. Not the comfortable kind, the kind that felt like a wall. Burke on one side, me on the other, and Emma somewhere in between, a ghost neither of us could talk about. At 5, I grabbed my jacket and headed for the door. "Hartley." I stopped, my hand on the frame. "I'm sorry." Burke's voice was rough. "About earlier, it's not your fault. None of this is your fault." I looked back at him. He was still facing his computer, but his shoulders had dropped, some of the tension bleeding out. "I know," I said. "It's just," he shook his head. Seeing you here, it brings it all back. Every day I look at you and I see that case. I see everything I couldn't do. I'm not here for that, I said. I'm not here to blame you for anything. I know. He finally turned, and for the first time I saw something other than walls in his eyes. Something that might have been guilt or grief or both. But I blame myself. I have for 20 years. That's not going to change just because you're back. I didn't know what to say to that, so I just nodded and walked out into the fog. The harbor was invisible again, swallowed whole. I stood on the steps of the station and breathed in the salt air, feeling the dampness settle on my skin. Burke was carrying something. I could see it now. A weight that had shaped him, bent him, made him into the guarded man who couldn't look me in the eye. He wasn't my enemy. He was just someone else that Ravenshore had broken. I walked home through the gray, thinking about ghosts. Emma's, Burke's, my own, we were all haunted here. The only difference was whether we admitted it.